A shipment gets delayed at a regional distribution center. At first, nobody notices. The trucks simply arrive a day late, then 2 days late. A few stores start limiting certain items. Prices adjust quietly. Nothing dramatic, just small changes. In the first 3 days, most households treat it like a minor inconvenience. Maybe the store is out of a favorite snack. Maybe the yogurt shelf looks thinner than usual. People assume the next delivery will fix it, but by the third week, the situation looks different. Certain products stop showing up entirely. Refrigerated sections rotate faster than they refill. The items people buy out of habit suddenly become harder to find, and the grocery bill keeps climbing even when the cart looks lighter. This is when many families realize something uncomfortable. A lot of the food they buy every week does not actually help them ride out instability, because many grocery purchases are built around comfort and convenience, not duration. There is one insight that becomes obvious during any supply disruption. The products that disappear first are usually the same ones that provide the least real value. And we have already seen this pattern repeat: shipping slowdowns, labor shortages, regional storms, fuel spikes. Each time, certain grocery categories vanish quickly, while others remain steady. The households that stay calm plan differently. Most households prepare for comfort, not duration. And the grocery store is designed to encourage that exact behavior. When people walk into a supermarket, almost everything they see has been optimized for speed and impulse. Bright packaging, small portions, convenience-focused products, items that feel useful in the moment, but rarely hold up under longer disruptions. If you step back and look at grocery purchases through a different lens, a pattern starts to appear. Some foods stretch your budget and increase stability. Others quietly drain both. The difference usually comes down to 3 simple factors. The first is cost per usable nutrition, not just price on the shelf, but how much real energy and nourishment you actually get for that money. The second factor is shelf life and storage risk. Some products spoil quickly, require refrigeration, or degrade fast once opened. The third factor is supply chain fragility. Certain foods rely on complex production, specialized packaging, or constant refrigerated transportation. When a product scores poorly in all 3 categories, it becomes what we can call a grocery store trap. Unfortunately, many of the most heavily marketed items in modern supermarkets fall directly into that category. They cost more than their base ingredients, they spoil quickly, and they depend on fragile logistics. Once you start looking through that framework, you begin to notice something surprising. A small group of extremely common grocery purchases consistently perform poorly across all 3 metrics. These are items many people buy every single week. They feel normal, sometimes even healthy, but during disruptions, they provide very little real stability. So based on that framework, let's walk through 15 grocery items that look useful on the shelf, but quietly drain money, reduce resilience, and disappear quickly when supply chains tighten. The first category sits right at the entrance of many grocery stores, the convenience section. These are foods designed to save a few minutes of time. But that convenience comes with a heavy markup. One of the most common examples is single-serve snack packs. Small bags of crackers, cookies, or chips packaged into individual portions feel practical. They are easy to throw into lunches, easy to grab on the way out the door. But when you compare the price of those small packs to the same food in a larger package, the difference becomes obvious. In many cases, You're paying 2 to 3 times more for the same ingredients simply because they were divided into smaller containers. During normal times, that may feel like a minor trade-off. But during extended disruptions, paying premium prices for packaging instead of food quickly drains the grocery budget. The second item in this category is pre-cut fruits and vegetables. These are extremely popular because they remove preparation time. A tray of sliced fruit or chopped vegetables looks fresh, colorful, and ready to eat, but you are often paying several times the cost of the whole produce. The moment a fruit or vegetable is cut, its shelf life also drops sharply. Exposure to air accelerates spoilage, so not only do you pay more, but the food lasts less time. The third item is bottled smoothies. They often appear healthy, bright labels, promises of vitamins and superfoods, portable nutrition. But when you read the ingredients, many of these drinks are primarily fruit puree, juice concentrates, and sugar. The cost per calorie is extremely high compared to simply buying whole fruit, oats, or yogurt and blending it yourself. And most bottled smoothies rely on refrigeration and short expiration windows. The fourth item in this convenience group is ready-to-drink cold brew coffee. Cold brew has become a premium grocery item in recent years. Bottles often sell for several dollars each, but the ingredients are simple: water and coffee. The markup exists because of packaging, branding, and convenience. A bag of coffee beans can produce dozens of cups for the same price as a few bottled drinks. Across these first 4 items, the pattern is clear. Convenience almost always multiplies cost while reducing storage flexibility. Buying base ingredients usually delivers 3 to 5 times the value. The next group of grocery purchases looks healthy and refreshing, but they hide a different problem: water weight. These are products where most of the price comes from packaging liquids rather than delivering real nutrition. The first example is bagged salad mixes. They look convenient and fresh, pre-washed greens, sometimes with toppings and dressing included. But leafy greens are mostly water. Once they are chopped and sealed inside plastic bags, they spoil quickly. Anyone who has opened a bag of salad after a few days knows how fast that freshness disappears, and the price per pound is far higher than buying whole heads of lettuce or cabbage. The sixth item on the list is flavored yogurt cups. Yogurt itself can be a solid food, but the small flavored cups often contain added sugars, fruit syrups, and stabilizers. The portion sizes are small, and the packaging costs add up quickly. Buying larger containers of plain yogurt and adding fruit or honey at home dramatically reduces cost while extending usability. The seventh item is sports and electrolyte drinks. These beverages are marketed for hydration and performance, but most people are simply buying flavored sugar water with added minerals. For everyday use, they deliver very little nutrition. They also require constant production and distribution because they cannot be stored long once opened. In terms of calories and stability, they provide almost nothing compared to basic pantry staples. These 3 products share the same flaw. They look substantial on the shelf, but most of their weight is water. And water-heavy foods tend to be expensive, fragile, and short-lived. Now we move into a category that confuses many shoppers: foods that appear premium or healthy but quietly fail in storage. One example is gourmet bread products. Artisan breads, specialty loaves, and bakery-style items often taste excellent, but they are designed for short shelf life. Many contain fewer preservatives and more moisture, which means they mold quickly. During periods when grocery trips become less frequent, these breads spoil long before they can provide meaningful stability. The ninth item is fresh salsa and refrigerated dips. These products are popular because they taste fresh and vibrant. But once opened, their lifespan can be extremely short. Even unopened containers depend heavily on constant refrigeration. If power outages occur or refrigeration becomes unreliable, these foods spoil quickly. And the 10th item is refrigerated plant-based milks. Almond milk, oat milk, and other alternatives have grown rapidly in popularity. Shelf-stable versions exist, but many shoppers buy the refrigerated varieties that behave more like dairy. Once opened, they often last only a few days. In warm climates or humid environments, spoilage accelerates even faster. This leads to one of the most important insights when evaluating food purchases. Shelf life matters more than brand perception. Just because a product looks modern, organic, or premium does not mean it supports long-term stability. As disruptions stretch from days into weeks, that difference becomes obvious. Now, we reach another group where marketing plays a major role. Products that appear nutritious or upscale, but offer surprisingly low value. The 11th item is organic snack bars. These bars often promise clean ingredients, energy, and convenience. But when you break down the composition, many contain oats, sweeteners, oils, and flavorings. The ingredients themselves are inexpensive, yet the bars sell at very high prices because of branding and packaging. Buying those same ingredients separately provides far more food for the same cost. The 12th item is specialty bottled sauces. Many kitchens contain shelves filled with unique marinades, glazes, and flavor blends. These sauces can enhance meals, but they are often purchased for novelty rather than necessity. A small bottle may cost as much as several pounds of basic cooking ingredients, and once opened, they frequently sit unused until they expire. The 13th item is designer granola. Granola is marketed as a premium breakfast food. Bags filled with clusters, nuts, seeds, and dried fruit. But commercial granola often contains large amounts of sugar and oils. The markup compared to raw oats and bulk ingredients can be dramatic. And again, most of the cost goes toward packaging and marketing. A useful rule appears here. In many grocery aisles, packaging becomes the most expensive ingredient. Finally, the last two items represent some of the highest markups in modern grocery stores. They are not necessarily bad foods, but they illustrate how routine purchases quietly erode a preparedness budget. The 14th item is premium ice cream pints. These small containers often cost several dollars each. They are designed as indulgent treats with rich flavors and attractive packaging. But they require continuous freezing, have limited nutritional value, and disappear quickly. Occasional treats are perfectly reasonable. The problem appears when premium items become routine grocery purchases. The 15th item is bottled vitamin water. These drinks promise added nutrients and hydration, but many contain minimal vitamin content compared to the price. They are essentially flavored water with small supplement doses. The cost per calorie and per nutrient is extremely high. Again, none of these products are inherently harmful. The issue is how frequently they appear in everyday shopping carts. When many small premium items accumulate, they slowly drain the resources that could otherwise build a more stable pantry. At this point, a pattern should be clear. The problem is not just individual foods, it is the way people shop. One of the most common mistakes households make is prioritizing convenience and branding over durability and versatility. This creates what we might call the three-trip problem. Certain foods force frequent visits to the store. Fresh snacks spoil quickly. Refrigerated drinks run out. Short shelf-life products demand constant replacement. When supply disruptions occur, that pattern becomes fragile. Strategic households think differently. They prioritize foods that store well, stretch across multiple meals, and maintain stable pricing over time. Durability becomes more important than novelty. Versatility becomes more important than branding. Cost stability becomes more important than short-term convenience. When a disruption extends beyond a few days, this difference becomes very visible. Short interruptions are manageable for almost everyone. But when instability stretches into several weeks, grocery habits suddenly matter. That is when families begin adjusting. Instead of buying highly packaged items, they start looking toward more foundational foods, bulk ingredients that can be used in many meals, shelf-stable staples that last for months, multi-use foods that combine calories, protein, and flexibility, long-duration calorie sources that support an entire household rather than a single snack. These categories create something more valuable than convenience. They create stability. And stability produces a psychological advantage that is often overlooked. When a household knows it has weeks of reliable food available, stress levels remain lower. Decision-making improves. Trips to the store become strategic rather than reactive. Preparation is not panic. It is positioning, and positioning allows a household to absorb disruptions instead of being pushed around by them. Over time, the goal is not simply to spend less money. The real objective is to convert grocery spending into something stronger. Resilience. The difference often comes from replacing a handful of low-value purchases with foods that last longer, serve multiple roles, and maintain predictable cost. If you step back and look at your own grocery habits, you may notice some of these patterns already. Certain items vanish from the pantry quickly but never seem to contribute much to long-term stability. Others quietly stretch meals further and reduce the need for constant restocking. That awareness is where strategic shopping begins. Before we finish, here is something worth thinking about. Many households eventually identify one or two grocery items they used to buy regularly, but later realized were not providing much value. So here is a simple question. What is one grocery purchase you stopped buying after realizing the price did not match the value? The answer often reveals more about a household's strategy than the size of the pantry. Because in the end, the goal is not to predict every disruption. It is to make small, steady decisions that strengthen stability over time. When supply chains stretch from days into weeks, the choices made months earlier start to matter. Strategic households understand this. They focus on value, durability, and flexibility. And they quietly build systems that keep their homes steady even when the outside environment becomes uncertain. Preparation removes uncertainty.